Hey, what's up you guys? So I'm coming at you with another video. It's another week, one down, has put another video of breaking the Tabo. So we're gonna break down Filipino American history. So let's go into it. But first, of course, if you're new to my channel, what is up? My name is Mitch, Maverick Mitch. Hey Mitch, all the Mitches, and pretty much I like talking about what I talk about. So current events, reviews, and pop culture within the scope of entertainment, culture, and purpose. So again, TV movie reviews, got those. Social political commentary, got those too. So be sure to check out all those videos as you are finishing this video. Alright, so One Down dropped out their video about Filipino American history. I wasn't able to see it last night because I was watching the presidential debate, so we're gonna go ahead and talk about it this week. So yeah. Again, like I've been doing with the past videos on One Down, I'm wearing my lei for this, Filipino colors, and I'm also wearing a shirt, Iron Sharpens Iron, because like I said, this whole series about me kind of like breaking the Tabo isn't about rebutting them, right? Because again, the host is one of my friends, Sapphire and Sandalo. So again, I just want to preface that ahead of time because again, this isn't anything about, putting down my fellow kababayan, right? And so, iron sharpens iron, right? And so, going into this topic, Filipino American history. Again, I didn't see the video, this is the first time I'm going to react to it, but I think, well, one, I have a different perspective, and I think she's going to go into it because, this is something that we don't really learn. And for me, true, I agree with that, but I come at this at a different perspective because I learned about this through CSUN, right? I learned Asian American Studies. I was studying information system as well as Asian American Studies, and so I actually do have a different perspective on a lot of this stuff. And when it comes to myself, even I was learning Babayan, like I said in another video, I trained myself. I learned how to write Babayan script even in high school, right? I was learning about this and everything, so I was trying to educate myself. Like Philippine history has always been an interest of mine. What our flag represents, what was the history of the islands, even mythology, going into like Malakas Malaganda, which is the origin story of folklore. So I really had a good understanding of Filipino culture and history, right? But that's not the case with everyone, right? And so when you learn about the first Filipinos in Louisiana, that is something crazy, right? When you learn about how Filipinos came to the Americas before the Americas was the Americas, yes, it is something crazy. When you learn about, again, we had our own writing system before the Spanish came, right? Well, different areas had writing systems. And so, yes, all of those are crazy, and those are things that this is the actual, so I did a video on there's conservative and liberal values within the Filipino community, and this is actually one of the progressive liberal values that I actually appreciate, because I am a product of learning about Filipino history through the college system. Now, I would say it's pure indoctrination, and leftist, I don't know, like people are talking about Filipinx in like regular conversation, and I already did a video about that. So yeah, so I think with this video, I think I'm gonna agree with most of it. Without watching it, my guess is that I'm probably gonna agree with a lot of it. If it goes the anti-colonialism route, I'll probably have a little bit more critiques. And again, I should probably still do a video that why am I okay with Western civilization, and so as a Filipino. But okay, well, enough of that. Let's go watch the video.
Why are Filipinos nothing more than a fun fact in American history books? The most widely known Filipino contributions to America are lumpia, Bruno Mars, and the Jabberwockies. But the legacy of Filipinos in America has been largely limited to moments that don't disrupt the widely accepted.
Oh God, I hate that.
I never learned that Filipinos improved the lives of over 10,000 workers by successfully using national boycotts for the first time in 1965. Or that Filipinos were a huge part of the longest campus strike in American history, creating ethnic studies at San Francisco State University. The parts of Filipinos that challenge society should be equally celebrated, because Filipino American history is American history. I'm Sapphire Sandalo.
Okay. What up, Sapphire?
This is Breaking the Tabo, where we talk real While the U.S. has become home to the largest number of Filipinos outside of the Philippines, Americans never really wanted us to consider this home. Even though the Immigration Acts of 1917 and 1924 limited the number of Asian immigrants to the U.S., Filipinos were the only exception to this rule. And as a result, 100,000 Filipinos were recruited and shipped to America to be farm workers, most of which were able-bodied teenagers. And these teenagers became known as the Manongs. No, not your uncle or the older employee at your local seafood city, but the first major wave of Filipino immigrants in the 1920s to the 1930s. While agribusinesses accept...
There's another word for this. It starts with an S. I forgot. It's the people who went in the canneries in Alaska. It's on the top of my head, but yeah, I totally. So far, I'm kind of good with this. Obviously, when the whiteness thing kind of got me, but like, yeah, I agree. You know, we should learn about this. You know, Filipino American history is American history. I got that. That's not over the top, woke-ish, but you know that's good. I'm so far we're good. So yeah.
Accepted the much-needed labor with open arms, their white neighbors were not as excited by their arrival. In 1927, 30 men stormed the home of Filipino Ellis Peregrino, demanding that the Filipino farm workers staying there leave the county by midnight or risk being killed. In 1929, Exeter, California, the mobs burned down workers' living quarters, threw stones at Filipinos in the streets, and threatened Filipinos with ultimatums to leave a county or die. In Watsonville, California, a Filipino dance club opened, offering dances with white women. Not long after, a mob of 500 men attacked Filipino farm workers and shot through their boarding houses, killing a sleeping 22-year-old Fermin Tobera. And Tobera's death became international news. It made Americans' intolerance of Filipinos clear. No one was safe in the land of the free. In the 1950s, over 1,000 Manongs called a 3-block radius of San Francisco home, known as Manila Town. The Manongs lived in residential hotels such as the International or I Hotel. Unfortunately, but not surprisingly, San Francisco wanted to make a Wall Street of the West, and Manila Town was caught in the middle of it. By 1968, the eviction of Manila Town's community began, as developers wanted to build the high-rise skyscrapers of today's financial district. And within the next 2 years, the last building standing was the I Hotel, which hosted roughly 200 Filipino men. But it all came to an end on August 4th, 1977. After news leaked that the police were coming to remove the remaining residents, over 3,000 protesters built a human barricade in front of the hotel as their final attempt to stop the police. Those helping the effort included members of the Black Panther Party, church congregations, and labor rights groups. When the police began to axe their way through the building, the 55 tenants decided to stand down. Each elder came out, one by one, accompanied by an activist. The I Hotel residents nearly became homeless, and they couldn't even rely on their city representatives. Decades later, the U.S. government still treats Filipino Americans as pawns rather than people. For example, 250,000 Filipino veterans fought in World War II, only to be denied all promised benefits by President Truman, a one-time lump sum payment by President Obama, and unity with their families in the Philippines by President Trump. And ultimately, Filipino American history is important because without the Manong struggle, all Americans wouldn't have the basic privileges at our jobs today, like bargaining for our hours, pay, and work conditions. Take, for example, Larry Itliong and Philip Vera Cruz. They led the Agricultural Workers Organizing Committee in a strike against the Delano grape growers, demanding pay equal to the federal minimum wage. Yet Cesar Chavez became the face of the labor movement, celebrated with his national holiday, even though he wasn't even sure if he wanted to be a part of it at first. He thought it would be smarter to wait, but Filipino labor leaders, Itliong and Vera Cruz, knew that the corporations relied on Mexicans and Filipinos not seeing eye to eye. What the movement really needed was both communities standing in solidarity, something that also feels important to remember today. And in convincing Cesar Chavez to join the strike and form the United Farm Workers Movement, the 5-year strike succeeded, paving the way for every farm worker in California to negotiate better pay, hours, and safety policies. The fact that this triumph was accomplished by two communities coming together makes it a little sad that Larry Itliong Day was never recognized until 2019. This is exactly why we need to start talking about Filipino American history, because bringing up these moments changes things for us. It makes sure the people who fought for us get recognition, and the injustices committed against us are not forgotten. Something we definitely don't talk about enough when we talk about Filipino American history are Indigenous Filipinos in America today.
Every October, I see the same black and white photos from the...
Wait, we're gonna go in Indigenous Filipinos? Okay, so up until now, I was pretty fine with it. Like, yeah, there's portions of it, like already, I learned a lot of this already in Asian American Studies, so I'm cool with it, and this could be new information for you, so that's fine. And then we don't have to go into how racist America is, right? Or used to be, you know, especially in the past. Have we grown? I think so. I would argue yes. And then this is what I take issue. If you use evidence of the past as if it is evidence today, because there's an idea like we have progressed, you know, like, and is there room for improvement? Of course there is. And so those are ideas, but like this whole idea of struggling in the past is carrying it into the present, and I just kind of like disagree with that, just because we have made so much strides. So Sapphire goes into these areas in which like Filipino veterans didn't get the recognition. So yes, we should definitely fight for that, right? But she doesn't go into where Filipinos American actually succeeds, like Manessa Kuntunkan, who became the first Filipino American pilot, F-16 pilot in 2007. So we have done great strides, you know? And so it's a little back and forth. So I mean, as much as there's negative, and she's focusing more on the negative than the positive, that, me personally, I want to know, like, we can learn about both, but this is totally going for a negative slant, because, you know, the framing is that America is bad type thing. So whereas I think America is good.
Human Zoo, or the 1904 St. Louis World Fair. This is treated as an example of pan-Filipino discrimination in this country and is part of the Filipino American experience. Yet it always fails to tell the other side of that story, which is that it's an Igorot experience, and that it's Igorot Americans that are looking at those black and white photos and are reminded of their own family members, their own rituals, and reminded that we're never allowed to tell our stories with the dignity that they deserve. And so it's really important that when we share about this history, that we're sharing it from the perspective of descendants, because the people in those photos have descendants that are here today. One such descendant is Auntie Mia Abea, whose own grandparents sailed from Bontoc to St. Louis as part of the 1904 World Fair. She spoke at the 100-year anniversary and celebration in St. Louis, and she had this to say: "Being the resilient people they are, these Igorots went back to their home in the mountains, perhaps sad and somewhat dejected, yet wiser and morally undefeated. They carefully kept their culture intact through the years, defiantly passing them on to the descendants you see today." Her words inspire me as an Igorot American about the importance of telling our stories, protecting our culture, and making sure that it gets passed on. And so every Filipino American History Month, I'm always reminding people how important it is to center and put front and center Indigenous voices, because our stories are ready to be heard and told with the dignity that they deserve.
So this whole like Igorot type of thing, Indigenous type of thing, is really new. I know some of my friends in Philippines have been mentioning this, especially with the whole Filipinx, this whole woke thing. I mean, you can go Indigenous and talk about people in Mindanao. I suppose you can go that way, but it's I guess it's the idea in which you were untouched by the Spanish, and you were not quote unquote colonized. So there's just this idea that's weird that I haven't seen before. Like, I never seen Filipinos as like Igorot Americans, you know, and so that was weird. And it's also like, if you're going to go Igorot, I don't know, I thought that was a little bit derogatory. Like, if you're going to go that word, I thought you're going to go more of the tribe. So Kalinga, Benguet, Bontoc, Ifugao, you know, and so I would imagine you're going to go with those terms, right, rather than actual Igorot. And so yeah, I don't, that is something weird to me. So and it's weird, like it's weird because like it's not the Filipinos in the Philippines doing it, it's the Filipino Americans that's doing it. And so again, like this whole woke stuff is just too
Start
much.
telling your own personal history. Share it with your friends and write to your communities. Listen to your family's experiences. Or buy younger Filipinos the children's book about Larry Itliong. Start a mentorship program connecting Filipino American college students to high schoolers. Exchange with other family members your experience of being Filipino American. Because if there's anything that we learned about Filipino American history, it's that we didn't learn Filipino American history. And that changes with you.
Thank you.
Okay, breaking that down, again, I didn't have, it overall was pretty cool. Like I said, it was more towards a negative slant, just so that you can go to the premise of teaching younger generations and of our generation and then our peers even, you know, of Filipino American history. For the most part, I didn't take issue, right? Other than the whole, like, again, like, whiteness is bad, and then the whole Igorot thing, the Igorot slant, Indigenous Igorot slant was a weird take too. But overall, again, I appreciate this. Like I said, iron sharpens iron. I'm not gonna necessarily like put this down, right? But it's just, it's weird. And so hopefully in the next video they can do something positive about Filipinos, right? Instead of going so negative, like I said, you can go to the positives of what Filipinos have contributed to the American experiment, right? And so and then like you went over the Filipinos, like the Filipinos was a US territory, right? And so we can talk about the nationals, we can talk about the part that, you know, during World War II, like, you know, being a part of that and everything. And so there's portions in which that could be positive, and I wish they went more on the positive route than a negative route, but I understand their framing. So final thoughts, I even saw the viewership on this video. It wasn't really getting a little hype, so not a lot of people is not necessarily interested in here, but like it's just not like a controversial topic or anything that is something that a lot of people don't know. And so again, I would rather, you know, have them talk about the things that, like the top 5 things I bet you didn't know about Filipino culture, and then you can talk about like the pantheon of like pseudo gods. I say pseudo just because some people put in their little added stuff into it. They get like these. It's not like the Greek pantheon, which there is writings on it. They just have one source or whatever, and just kind of like piece and illustrate from there. So, yeah. Okay, so again, this video was cool. I'm cool with it, you know. We'll see what next week is gonna offer. And again, like for the most part, the message is to promote Filipino American History Month, and I'm totally down with that. And so, yeah, okay, cool. Awesome. Alright, so let me know what you think, if you learned anything new about this video, and let me know your thoughts. Is there any weird takes that you got from this? Did you, like me, did you want to see more positive? And yeah, let me know, comment below, let me know what you think. And then if you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram at Hey Mitch. You can follow my joint Instagram at It's Mandatory Fun, where I do other videos with my friend Jen. I'm also on Parler, Maverick Mitch, and see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace, peace, peace. Be with you.